11-4, Areas of Circles. The main idea of this lesson is to be able to find the area of circles. Real quickly before we start the lesson, I'm going to review a few key vocabulary words for you. The point that is in equal distance from any edge of the circle is known as the center. A radius goes from the center of the circle out to the edge. This is known as the radius. A line that goes from one edge of the circle through the center all the way to the other edge is known as the diameter. And the distance all the way around the outside edge of the circle is known as the circumference. And pi, which is a number that we hear about a lot when we talk about circles, is the ratio between the circumference and the diameter. And pi can either equal 3.14, and it's a number that goes on and on forever. It doesn't repeat, it doesn't terminate, or it doesn't come to an end. Or you can think of pi as a fraction, 22/7. So let's get started. In order to find the area, A, of a circle, it's equal to the product of pi and the square of the radius, r. So that's the formula written out in words to find the area of a circle. The formula to find the area of a circle is area equals pi times radius squared. So that means you have to take the radius of the circle, square it or multiply it by itself, and then multiply it by pi, either 3.14 or 22/7. So let's do a couple examples. For these two examples, we're going to use for pi, we're going to use 3.14. So here's our first one. We're given this circle right here, and we're told that the distance from the center to the edge, or the radius, is 2 inches. So we go back. The area of a circle is pi r squared. So I'm going to write that down first. Area equals pi r squared. So now that means anywhere that I see r, I can substitute that with 2. So area equals pi times 2 squared. Now remember, with the order of operations, it states that we have to do all of our exponents before we can multiply. So that means you have to square the radius and then multiply it by pi. That's the most important thing about this whole formula. First, you're going to square the radius, and then you're going to multiply it by pi. So with my calculator here, I'm going to go 2, and see this button over here, x to the second power? That automatically squares the number that you've already put in the calculator, or you can just push the multiplication sign and then multiply it by 2 again. So squared, and then I'm going to take that answer and I'm going to multiply it by 3.14. And we get 12.56. So that means the area equals 12.56 inches. And remember, whenever you talk about inches, it's going to be squared, because that means if you had one little inch, one little square that was 1 inch by 1 inch, if we had 12.56 of those little inch by inch squares, they would fit inside this circle. So that's how you do it if you're given the radius. Pretty simple. We just take the length that they give you for radius, substitute it into the equation. Remember to square that first, and then multiply by pi. Let's take a look at this second example. Second example gives us a diameter, because the line goes all the way across the circle. So that means that this number right here, 3.16, isn't what we're actually going to put into the formula. A equals pi r squared. We need to change this number from its diameter, from the diameter to the radius. So that means we need to take this number and divide it by 2, because remember, the diameter is twice as long as the radius. So you put 3.6 into your calculator and divide that by 2, and you get 1.8. So a lot of times what I like to do is, right next to the drawing, I like to write that the radius is equal to 1.8 inches. Now I remember that. It also shows everyone later on, when you substitute that 1.8 inches into this equation down here, kind of lets everyone know where did you get that 1.8 inches from, because the only information that was given to you is this 3.16. So now A equals pi times 1.8. Let me write that a little more clear. (1.8) squared. So that means with our calculator, you're going to do the 1.8 squared first. 1.8. You can either push this button, or this time I'll show you, times 1.8 equals, and then I'm going to take this and multiply it by 3.14. And we get 10.1736. And then we're going to label that inches squared. And that's how you find the area of a circle, whether you're given a radius over here or a diameter over here. The formula is area equals pi r squared. If you're given a radius, you just substitute that number into the formula. If you're given a diameter, you have to take your answer and divide it in half first, take this new number and substitute it into the equation.